Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com. I have Will Lehr from perpetualassets.com, who is running around helping people save the shit out of their retirement wealth. Will, how's it going down there in Texas?
It's going well, my friend. It's going well. A little cloudy today. Nice weather though. Cool in the mornings, warm in the afternoons.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Are you getting people panicked about losing their retirement money, having money in the system these days? They should be. I mean, you and I have been screaming, it's going to happen. It's going to happen for so long. And we're closer than we've ever been, obviously. What
Very.
are you seeing any panic in people yet?
Yes. Since COVID, the last 3 years and all of the unraveling of everything, more and more people are coming unplugged, right? And so it's interesting. It's been a lot of newly red pilled people recently. So there's a lot of emotion, and you're dealing with a big chunk of their life savings. So there's even more emotion in it. It can be taxing, no joke. Some people are, a lot easier, and some people require a lot more love. Uh, and it's crazy times, right? So you're dealing with that energy too with people. Like it's like, look, don't freak out, you calm down, one thing at a time. You get too many things going at once, you're gonna overwhelm yourself. You know, so I'm doing a lot of that. Yeah, there's definitely an urgency. I mean, it's out there, man. Just look around. I mean, even normies that I'm talking to now, whether it's, we had my kids' basketball team over for a pool party, just talking to the dads and stuff, or whether it's, my neighbors, like people are coming unglued fast. Everybody's like, what the heck's going on?
Well, according to our lovely president, who took a header yesterday, I think he fell down again. Oh, it's just crazy. Everything's fine. We got the debt ceiling done, and everything's fine. There's no problems. I think it's the first time, not the first time in history, but it's one of those rare times that they celebrate something that's horrific. Going into 4 trillion more in debt is something they're celebrating. And I'm like, what the hell has happened to my country? Who would celebrate going into debt by $4 trillion because everything falls apart without these debt expansions? I'm looking at now, I did an article or a discussion a couple of weeks ago about the two scenarios, or there was three. One was kick the can down the road and have it go on for a while. But the main two scenarios is, one, they don't agree on anything and the world falls apart. And number two is that they do agree, and then all of a sudden the Treasury starts, has to refill the coffers. It is estimated the Treasury instantly needs to get about $600 billion in the coffers. And I mean, and the way the game works is they're going to sell treasuries, which is going to dump the Treasury market even more than it's been dumped so far. Thus, a whole bunch of banks are going to go down just because of the Treasury needing to refill its coffers with money. And there's a lot of banks who are just wobbling right now on the edge, and this will most likely throw them under the bus. I mean, the FDIC came out with their quarterly report for the first quarter and said, it was a good quarter for the banks, but the last 2 weeks, the ramifications of the last 2 weeks won't be seen until the next quarter, which is in where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
So the ramifications of printing $4 trillion more dollars over the next few years, I think are going to be felt fairly quickly by the banks when Yellen starts trying to refill the coffers. And I mean, they got to sell the money, sell the bonds and get the money. And what's going to happen to the Treasury market at that point in time? It's going to get slaughtered. And these banks are just too weak to withstand that. What's your take on the banking system? How close are we to a major catastrophe?
I feel like the fuse was lit, a month or two or three ago when it all started. I mean, you could argue the FTX debacle could have been the straw that broke the camel's back on the banking perspective, because right after that, we saw the banks starting to fail. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the beginning of it, right? We just haven't seen epic fireworks yet, but it's here. I mean, it's in the process of unraveling. So It
what's your
always amazes me how long it takes things to do to go, but here we are.
what's your take on, so the FDIC and Janet Yellen said they're not going to bail out. Janet Yellen said we're not going to bail out people who have deposits that are over the insurance amount, 250,000 per person. I've been telling people on the road to Ruta, hey, you can add beneficiaries. It's a little complicated because if you only add one beneficiary, that beneficiary gets the $250,000, but you lose yours. If you have two beneficiaries, you get 500,000, 250 for each beneficiary. And I heard the banks have been limiting the amount of beneficiaries lately.
Interesting.
Which is, I mean, why have the program, the FDIC program, where you can add beneficiaries if you're not going to allow people to add beneficiaries?
Well, you and I both know there's not enough money in those coffers to even make everyone whole up to 250K, right?
Well, they're at 1 I think they dropped below 1.2%. They're mandated to have like 1.3% of their total insured deposits. They're supposed to have 1.3% holding at the DIP fund, the deposit insurance fund. And they have less than that. But they have a plan to restock it by giving the banks bigger fees, which will make the banks weaker. And oh, by the way, this plan is for it to be solved by 2028. So they're not going to have enough money even close to come to the minimum until 2028. So yeah, all it's going to take is a couple banks. And I hear that there are so many banks on the troubled bank list that they can't even report it. Like Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and FDIC or First Republic Bank. None of those were on the problem bank list. And
it wouldn't surprise me if there's already bankruptcies and insolvencies that we just haven't been told about. I've heard that. The big ones have already happened, and we just haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, I'm hearing BlackRock's in trouble, which is interesting because I think they're the silver short these days. The sneaky silver short. There's a non-commercial in the big four silver short positions on the comics. Ted Butler said, well, there's one non-commercial bank, and it was number 4. Now it's number 3. It's pretty much the last entity standing. It's not a bank.
Wow. It's got to be BlackRock.
It's got to be BlackRock. Quick question on, let's just tell people, it does take a while to get your money out of the system and into a self-directed IRA. That's what Will's specialty is. And their specialty also is buying cryptos, if you want to buy cryptos, and buying silver. Give Will a call. What is the number again?
888-281-2630. Ring me up. If you got any questions, love to help you. We've been doing this for our 10-year anniversary is like next week, which is pretty cool.
So many Road to Ruta people have been saved by Will and Gus and their company.
Tons. This whole network, I was just talking to one of your Ruta fans yesterday, an OG Ruta guy, goes back as long as me. And we were talking about just this network and just how incredible it is of all these people. Like it's really, really cool. But yeah, we help people who have money stuck in IRAs, 401ks, pensions, if we can get to those, and roll it over into a self-directed IRA where the client can control it and invest in just about anything they want, right? So historically for us, people have used it for precious metals, where you can vault it yourself. You control the vault, right? It doesn't have to go to one of these big, huge depositories in a blue city. You can pick, a small mom and pop shop vault in a red state in a small town. There's some of those out there that I think are quite viable. There you can invest in cryptos, Bitcoin, and cold storage. You control the cold storage. You can invest in land, foreign investment, private equity companies, you name it. Like you can do anything with it. So anyway, we've helped people, been doing that for a long time. It's been a blast. The connections are incredible. This gentleman, I was just shout out to Stan. We were just talking yesterday, and just about the network. I've been dabbling in El Salvador a little bit. We can get there in a minute.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
things just keep unraveling there. You know how it's funny, man. The the older I get, and the more spiritually inclined and whatever, the more you dabble in the woo, and the older you get, the better you get at sort of paying attention to that little tickle that universe gives you sometimes, that
Mhm.
little push, that little
Yeah.
and it usually requires some type of action, a phone call, a text, a something, right? Where you need to do something. And if you take that step, then, you see just sometimes doors just bust open, right? I mean, bust open. And that's what I'm seeing happen right now with this El Salvador thing. And it keeps happening to me like every day.
So
Um,
tell us what life in El Salvador is like. If you guys didn't know, El Salvador is getting more and more crypto friendly, more and more people humanity friendly than a lot of countries, especially the United States, that wants to shut the door on the choices as far as it comes to money.
exactly, man. It started for me. I mean, we've all heard about El Salvador, right? The Bitcoin Beach project goes back to like 2019, I think. And then it was like a little micro community experiment, right? And it did really well. And then that was the use case. They showed the president, and then the president Bukele made Bitcoin legal tender, national legal tender. That was 2 years ago now. So we've all been kind of hearing about this El Salvador thing. So about 3 months ago, my business partner Gus, God bless him, gets all paranoid like he likes to do sometimes. He keeps me out of trouble. Um, about our crazy government and their crackdown on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and everything. And we operate a trade desk where clients can wire. It's kind of like an exchange, but we don't have a trading platform. It's just a simple on ramp, off ramp. Client can, if you've got a chunk, usually they're larger chunks, 10 grand or more. If you're trying to put 50K, 100K into crypto today, that can be difficult, right? So we can do that. Anyway, as a cryptocurrency company, it's already been extremely difficult to bank in our country, and now they're making it way more difficult. They're just going nuts. So Gus sees this, and he's like, "We got to mobilize. We got to get to El Salvador and see what this is all about." Right? So I'm like, "All right, cool." I go down there, and I'm blown away. My first visit, I'm blown away. I'm about to go down next week. It's going to be my third visit in like a month and a half or 2 months. Um, it's a really incredibly miraculously unique situation that's occurring down there. So you have basically a very small little country that is locked by basically larger third world Central American countries, right? Um, it's been plagued by civil war and gang violence the last 40 years. So bad so that I met people. I was talking to one cabbie who no one in his family had left their home after dark in 40, like since their grandpa was a kid,
Wow.
right? Bad. I mean, everybody had lost, somebody died. Somebody was missing, a cousin, a nephew, a friend. I mean, bad, really bad. Everybody was shaken down. You couldn't run a business. It was bad. This new president comes in 4 years ago and just cracks down on the gangs like no other.
The
Arrested
exact
some
opposite of what the United States is doing.
bro. It arrested 40,000 people, and of course, there's controversy around it. Um, but for example, just like 2 weeks ago, there hasn't been a homicide in a year. Just 2 weeks ago, two gang members escaped jail, and they killed a cop in one of the districts outside of the city. The president locks down this district, brings in 5,000 military troops and like 500 cops until they catch the two criminals and put them back in jail or whatever they did with them. I mean, the response to violent crime is extremely swift and incredible down there. So he's cleaned up the whole country, right? So they put all these gangs members in jail, cleaned up the whole country. Um, Everybody's newly liberated, right? The people are really nice. They're not like hustle you either, like try to sell you stuff, but they're extremely helpful and they're really nice. It's almost as if there's this feeling of liberation in the air. Everybody's was freaking locked down for 40 years, man, and now it's exploding. And so what's happening there? So I get plugged in. I'm like, oh my gosh! First of all, the beach towns remind me of Costa Rica 25 years ago, Bitcoin Beach especially. And I'm like, oh my, this place. And I'm talking to the local lady. I stayed at this nice little hotel hostel right on the beach. I'm talking to the owner, and I'm like, oh, I love you, so beautiful. Hope this place doesn't change much. And she's like, oh, it's already changed a lot. And I kind of I'm like, you guys have no idea what's about to happen here. So it's this chill little beach town, sleepy little beach town. There's some money that's come into the town from Bitcoin the last couple of years, right? It's Bitcoin Beach. And there's a couple chic hotels. There's a couple more being built. There's a couple mansions up on the hill, but otherwise it's like this sleepy little, beach town with mango trees. And I'm getting intel because I'm talking to developers, real estate people. I'm getting intel about companies that are moving down there, big ones that aren't announced yet, that want a headquarter in these little. This wealth manager that I follow on Twitter, so global wealth manager, said it best the other day. He said, investing, he's going to move his operations down there. He said, investing in El Salvador today is like investing in Singapore 40 years ago. Yeah. And Gus actually said to me months ago, if you are a Bitcoin company related in some way to cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and you're an operating company, there are 3 places in the world where the banks and the government are friendly to you, to Bitcoin. And that's Dubai, Singapore, and El Salvador. And El Salvador's on the map. It's literally just on the map. And Gus just went to the Bitcoin Miami conference, said it was like 5 times bigger than when we went a few years prior. And he said like half the conversation was about El Salvador. The buzz is off the charts.
Now are they friendly to all types of cryptos or just Bitcoin?
It's definitely Bitcoin maxi country down there. Max Kaiser is the economic advisor to the president. And they are self-proclaimed toxic Bitcoin maximalists, which is a challenge because from an investment standpoint, okay, yes, Bitcoin is the holy grail of money, I believe, right? I think it's the best cryptocurrency, but the Bitcoin maxi argument, you're immediately dismissing any other blockchain use case scenario that's not trying to be money. And there are numerous that are viable that aren't crap coins, right? That's okay. I'll that might be my challenge in this, because I'm all in. I'm all in. This place is blowing me away. Gus and I we're starting a business down there. It's going, man. It's cool. Exciting. It's real exciting. And you go down there and you forget about the mass shootings. You forget about all the crap, dude. It all just the economy, the debt ceiling, this, that, and the crazy Bidenistas and the tripping on stage. It all just kind of fades away, man.
Are you gonna move there, or are you just thinking of like?
I'm gonna second home there. Yeah, I want to second home there. Get my oldest through high school. And I could see myself down there half part of the year, half the year kind of thing, and eventually be down there full time. Yeah, and it's also just, I'm looking at it like, on the president's desk is a citizenship for foreign investment program, right? Where they're just waiting to approve it and figure out the numbers and whatever. So, and I don't think it's going to be a 5-year delay. I think it's going to be, you buy a $250,000 piece of property, you get a second freaking passport, which is huge. I mean, I got clients. I got a lady I'm talking to right now who's looking at Portugal to invest $400K and apparently Portugal's been doing this for 10 years. They have a citizenship for foreign investment program, and you got to wait 5 years, and it's not as clean. This lady's looking at it, and she's going to put $400K with the developer that sits in his bank account. She's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, in El Salvador, you can write a check for the land and you have full allodial title. I've been looking. It's been my dream to retire or have a second home in Latin America. I've lived in a lot of different of those countries. My wife and I have traveled a lot of them. I almost bought land in Mexico. I almost bought land in Costa Rica. Mexico is like 99-year lease. You don't even own the land in most cases, So this is there's so many things that make this like such a gem. And the president is red pilled, like me and you. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Pretty cool.
It sounds like, mind you, you and Erica do speak Spanish fluently, and it would be very easy for you to assimilate into the language. But if anybody's looking to get out of Dodge, I don't recommend leaving the United States. I think we can fight our way out of this bullshit. The question is, how long will it take? In my mind, I don't think the United States is going to completely destroy the Constitution. I think when it comes into play, I was reading all this stuff about the Biden inauguration that was just out of the blue, strange, and he got, first of all, he got sworn in 10 minutes before noon, and all these things that were done that day. That it's clearly it was not traditional, but it was symbolic in ways that are complete. He went to the tomb of the dead unknown soldier right after the inauguration. Why? And all kinds of things in the flags they were
weird
wearing,
stuff,
and the color that Melania was wearing, and all of, and it just, the whole thing was absolute lunacy. But it was symbolic that this isn't a real type of leadership that we have now. And is it the military in charge? Is it Trump in charge? Nobody really knows. But clearly the stumbling old man who gets presented to the world is not in charge of anything. So I think we're going to come out of it. I don't plan on moving. If I have to go down with the ship, I'm going to go down with the ship. But I think people will come around. The more information that's known about what's been done to us, and Cliff keeps talking about the aliens are coming, and the information on aliens will be revealed about their involvement in our society and our planet, in the structure of the deep state and all that. Which, I mean, to me, it's obvious because I have the night vision goggles, but it's also obvious knowing that on the night of the election, the Trump Clinton election, John Kerry, the Secretary of State, decided to go to Antarctica the night of the most important election in U.S. history. I mean, if he's not going to talk to somebody who controls, the people, either alien or from Germany, who fled to Antarctica, whatever it is, you can say any conspiracy theory you want. He comes back from that and goes right to the Pope and says, "Do you understand what just happened? Do you understand what's happening right now?" And he had to get it on camera that the Pope understood that there was a change in power, and then the good guys were in charge. That all happened. And so you add up all these pieces, and it's like, what's going on now in America is not real. It's fake. And hopefully it's teaching people to stand up and fight for their sovereignty and their freedom and their Constitution.
It is. And I don't want to run away, and I don't want to encourage people to run away. But for me, and for some people, this charade is painful to watch. And I know, rest in peace, Bill Weir. Let's take a second to say that to your old man, and may you have peace with it too, Bix, because I know that probably 95% of people listening to this also know how difficult it is to lose someone in this war. And when you're the only one of the family members who actually know the real cause of death. And that's hard to deal with, that level of anyway. So it sucks, dude. So I'm part of me is just like, I agree with you. Show, we're watching a show. I mean, have you seen the video with the mask with Biden's, with the ripples in? I mean, it's like, what's his? It's like noticeably a mask. I mean, and there's several videos where the collar does. It's like, dude, come on. And so, going through this is going to be crazy, right? And so, anyway,
it already has been.
It has been, man. It's taken its toll on all of us the last 3 years already, right? So I go down there, though, and it all just fades away. And I'm like, okay, maybe you won't move down there, but I'll get you down there to kick your feet up for a week or two every quarter or something,
Absolutely. And I love the fact that everybody's moving towards freedom. They're moving out of California to different states, moving out of the country to more free places. We should all move towards freedom, and we should. I'm going to stay in California and fight for the freedom that I know a lot of my neighbors want as well. And once the veil is lifted about these deep state controllers who abused us for the last couple hundred years, once that veil is lifted, I think everybody will go back to the Constitution, because we have a Constitution. That's the beauty of the United States of America. If the shit in the world falls apart, we have a constitution. A lot of countries don't have a constitution that, that they can really sink their teeth into and say, hey, government, you fucked up. You're no longer the people I listen to. I'm going back to my constitution. And every single one of these crazy laws that have been put on the books for the past, couple hundred years, especially the Federal Reserve unbacked fiat monetary system, we're going to go back to gold and silver as money. I have no doubt. I talked to the main guy at the U.S. Mint day before yesterday, the main guy in charge of the Silver Eagle program. And he's mad. He knows that they're not creating coins to meet demand. He told me the demand is about 30 to 35 million a year, and we're only going to do half of that. And I'm like, well, who decided that? Is it Yellen? Did Yellen decide that? And he said he blamed the Bureau. And I'm like, who the hell is the Bureau? And he kind of described it, but not really. So I looked it up, and the U.S. Mint is sectioned off into 4 bureaus. And it's the location of the mint, basically. So there's the West Point Bureau, the Denver Bureau, the San Francisco Bureau, and then there's another mint. But he definitely alluded to, he's been there a long, long time, the fact that it is coming from the head people at the U.S. Mint, that you are not allowed to make coins that follow the law and meet public demand as far as quality and quantity. It was an amazing discussion I had, and I'll be doing a private thing on this later this weekend. But the reality of what he said is, our hands are tied. We have the capacity to do over 50 million Silver Eagles. And if the price was, and we talked a lot about price, nobody wants to pay 70, 60, 70, 80% premiums on Silver Eagles. That's why, and you're still selling out of the small amount you're making. And he's like, yeah, pricing's all screwed up. And the mint is actually making a ton of money. But they're not supposed to be making money. And he knew the law. They're not supposed to be making money on the bulk Silver Eagle program. That's just, it's a cost pass through. And it used to be about, $2.90 or something like that. I think that's what it is now, passing the cost through. And because there's so few, it's the authorized purchasers, the APs, that are able to do the markup because there's just so few coins out there. And he agreed with everything I was saying. And he said, nobody bitches and moans about it to Congress. I can just do so much from where I am. And if I get the mandate to do 50 million coins, I'll do 50 million coins. But there is a separate allocation division within the mint where they allocate the silver blanks. And he did say they're getting 4 million more this year. So you're going to see a bump up in the amount of Eagles. Right now it's 900,000 Eagles per month, which would put them on a course for the lowest Eagle production in history
ever.
He said when Ventures Gibson came in, they wanted to stop the program. He said they were going to stop in August for the normal, August, normally it's December, and then November, December for the stoppage for the change for the new year is completely ridiculous. He said they wanted to stop in either August or October, but way before they ever stopped. And he was screaming, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. I have people who I'm supplying Silver Eagles to. So yeah. To me, it's clear that there are good people within the mint. He wasn't aware, I believe him, he wasn't aware of anything going on, for example, them making Silver Eagles outside of his control.
Right.
But he wouldn't be aware of something like that if that's really going on. But I did ask him, hey, why did Ventures Gibson, your boss, say that they're making, they've expanded Silver Eagle production when clearly the numbers show that it's a third of what you can do? He said, nobody bitches about it. Nobody goes to Congress and says anything about it. So I'm going to start a campaign to within my Congress people. And they do have some people who have written their congressmen. The congressmen have written letters. He said he has worked on one letter recently. And, we'll see what we can do. But definitely within that, he said we can do it. We just need to be cut free of the bureaucrats.
Well, yeah, get a template together and, blast it out to your army. Everybody will email and call and do what they need to do, man.
I think that would move the needle. And I
Yeah.
mean, for him, that's what he said it would take.
It's not going to take much, brother. I mean, having been in the business now 13 years, and I've seen, I don't know, 3 or 4 times over that time period where I thought it was over. It was, last time was COVID, right? Whatever financial crash happens and COMEX markets tank, right? And when that happens, silver goes like that. Physical silver supply goes. And it starts with the Eagles, and the Eagles get backlogged, and the premiums go through the roof. Eagles premiums are usually $3 retail, right? I mean, that's what they've been for decades, right? On and off. But then we'll have these shock events, and there have been 3 or 4 of them in the last decade. The one since COVID 3 years ago hasn't stopped. Like, it's 3 years long. So the last one was, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. It was during the summertime. There was some financial event, something happened, silver dropped like $2, or it was a sharp drop, and it happened. Physical silver went, first the Eagles, and the premiums jacked up to 6, 8, $9, I think was about the highest they got that time. It lasted like 3 or 4 months. There were delays. It trickled into other products, coins and bars. Their premiums went up after, and I thought, oh boy, this is it. Here we go. But after several months, it worked out, and the premiums came back down. But this Silver Eagle thing has been going on for 3 years now, and they're still, I don't even know what they're at now. It's insane. I mean, I haven't touched one. I won't touch them because it's like, if somebody wants to buy them, I'm like, look, if you're telling me you want to buy silver because of the underlying investment, because of the story, because of the commodity, right? Don't pay double. Like, you get twice as much silver and get buffalo rounds,
Right.
or whatever. So
and truthfully, and I talked to him about this too. The lack of availability of Silver Eagles has really pushed people to say, well, if you don't have Silver Eagles, I'll take the Gold Eagles, which don't have this massive premium. They still got.
I've noticed that.
Still big.
I've noticed that.
And the mint marks those up even more. And the reality is the Gold Eagles don't have the same law as the Silver Eagles. But he told me that's another way they break the law, is they are sourcing their gold from Europe.
Wow.
And I'm like, it says specifically in the law that it has to be U.S. mines for gold. And he said that we never did. We're getting them from PAMP, and that's where we're getting the blanks. I'm like,
wow.
And I'm like, does anybody follow the law there? And he laughed. He said, yeah, they used to. They used to. He remembers talking to a lawyer, their in-house lawyer, about the Silver Eagle program, because he wanted to add some margin on top of the bulk program because it's so popular. He wanted to make money for the U.S. government. And the lawyer said, no, you cannot do that. That is illegal.
It's against the law.
And now it's like, who the fuck's running the hen house, right? Is it the fox in the hen house? Because literally, David Ryder was the previous mint director. 2020, 2021, those 2 months, they did about 30 million, or those 2 years, 30 million coins each year. And then Ventures Gibson in that jumps in, and all of a sudden they're doing a third of what they're able to do. And she's saying that they've expanded Silver Eagle production. So, and I'm calling him out on this stuff, and he's just saying, yeah,
dude,
it's true, but nobody does anything about it.
The biggest industries out there, okay, like media, finance, medical, this is one of them. The control of the price of gold and silver are 100% tied to the US dollar hegemony, right? It goes back 100 years. Like, so, I'm realizing now, like, we got to be careful because we're going G-rated on this one, but I mean, you look at what they did with the medical industry prior to COVID. I mean, all those researchers and doctors and everyone that died or disappeared or whatever over a 10 or 20 year period or something.
Yep.
I mean, Jim Willie and I were talking about this 15 years ago.
I know we had done interviews. We're talking about that. I wonder why they're knocking all these people off. And now we know, obviously, later.
Now we know.
But we're not going to go down that
happened in the mint.
We can't go down that path on YouTube, and we want to keep this on YouTube because it's important. You guys get your metal and get your retirement and get your cryptos out of the system, as close to in your possession as you can get. Now there are rules around the self-directed IRAs that Will can go over with you on storage and things like that. But anything out of the get as far out of the system as you possibly can. And that's what I've been screaming for a long time. And if you can get it in your possession, get it in your possession. I've been screaming that forever, and we see why. We see, like the trucker strike in Canada, and they literally cut off bank accounts. Look what they did to Russia. They kicked Russia out of the SWIFT system, and all it did was push Russia into the hands of China. And they developed their own system, and it's not XRP, all you XRP lovers. But yeah, it's the tyranny. People rush towards freedom, and the people of Canada, bravo to them. When Jean-Claude was out there on the front lines waving the Canadian flag like an American patriot, what do we do with our patriots? We throw them in jail for walking around the Capitol building. This is an insane war. We are currently in the United States under some kind of a fog of criminality, and at the same time, on a bigger picture, I think the good guys are running the show, and I think they're begging to show us what's going on. Just look, people, open your eyes and look through the newscasters. I don't care if it's Fox News or CNN, look beyond them at what was really happening, and then you can make your decisions.
It's the only thing that makes any sense about how insane things are going right now, and how continually more insane they keep going. This is a show to get people out of this, to unplug, to wake them up,
Well, Will, there to contact Will, you can call him up, or you can send him an email. What's your email address that they should send?
If you go on perpetualassets.com, you can hit the contact us right there. Our email address is on there, info at perpetualassets.com. Call us up anytime. Leave me a message if I don't answer. I'm good with getting back to folks. When we get bombed with a lot of people, sometimes, just be patient, leave me a message. We'll get back to you. But happy to help.
If you need cryptos and you need gold and silver, they're excellent at sourcing that stuff. They get great prices because they got, they're playing with the big boys, so they get really good prices for their customers. And definitely, if you're trying to get out of the system and you have retirement accounts, give them a call as well.
Yeah, it's been a fun road, man. We've helped a lot of people, and we've got a lot of insight. I've taught, it's interesting, right, to see what they want to do with their money in all people like us too. That's what's cool about what's developing. So
yeah, I do want to tell people that don't wait to do it, because it does take a month or so, depending on how complicated your current retirement company wants to make things. But they've made partnerships with banks, and it's a lot easier than it was originally. Especially if you're dealing in crypto and you're dealing in gold and silver. So give Will a call. And anything you want to leave our people with before you go to El Salvador?
Much love, everybody. Just keep fighting the good fight, Bix. Thanks for what you do, man. I continually talk to people. You've changed a lot of people's lives, and I get to talk to them sometimes, and it's really awesome. So keep fighting the good fight. God bless you, brother. We all love you.
All right, Will. Take care.